Ladies and gentlemen, Manchester United are good now. Now, I know, I don't want to alarm anybody with this situation either, but since the appointment of Michael Carrick as caretaker boss till the end of the current season, Manchester United are now 5 games unbeaten, just 5 points off third in the league, are firmly inside the Champions League spots, and are now the only team left in the Premier League unbeaten in 2026. We were dangerously close to the nits in this man's hair being evicted until further notice, had it not been for West Ham turning into 2006 Italy. And the question's pretty simple. Are Manchester United genuinely back? So picture this, the year is 2025. The only island that Elon Musk has expressed interest in actually visiting so far is the United Kingdom, and 98% of Americans can't locate Greenland on a map, or the United States of America.
She's only just realised that you play for Chelsea.
Is it?
My husband is a Chelsea football fan.
No way.
Meanwhile, Ruben Amorim is currently going through the most disappointing climax, and things weren't looking too great from out on a football pitch either. Manchester United would slump to 15th in the league. 3 even remotely competent promoted teams, and they genuinely might have been in a relegation battle with Tottenham. A side they would then be defeated by in the Europa League final to give the one team banned from winning any silverware some actual level of credible silverware. After making mortal enemies now with Tottenham's local rivals Arsenal, they would be duly beaten on game week 1. And would this be a sign of things to come? Well, when United fans drew Grimsby in the Carabao Cup, it's fair to say they were expecting a win. However, Grimsby's manager didn't quite agree.
Just lower your expectations, man.
A 12-11 loss in a penalty shootout would follow. Taking that many penalties and being on the losing team, you should actually be disqualified from next year's competition as well. Grimsby had taken a 2-0 lead in this game. United had fought back, but then had lost after full, regulation time. Clearly, Ruben Amorim only discovering he was actually managing a football match halfway through his annual Connect 4 tournament didn't help. And another mitigating factor in this situation was, of course, the existence of Andre Onana.
Ooh, na.
He was guiding every penalty into the back of his own net with a nice thank you and goodbye as it soared past him, and it really called into question Ruben Amorim in a very different sense. I mean, obviously finishing 15th in the league was bad enough, but this was absolutely humiliating, embarrassing, and despite all his tactical tinkering with his tactics board down on the touchline, it didn't really seem as if anything was changing. Ruben Amorim was stuck in his ways. It was 5 at the back or nothing at the back, I suppose. I wouldn't recommend that tactic either, but it probably would have worked better. Ruben had a very strong stance when anybody asked him to change even the slightest element of his off-the-ball pressing from a wide area. Bitch, I'd rather die! Yet this man was not down to change anything. He could be seen laughing at his phone during press conferences, probably because a United fan had asked to see whether Kobbie Mainoo was held in a high-security prison somewhere in Siberia, and they'd go on to take their annual pumping by Brentford. But in fairness, there were some positives. They beat Liverpool at Anfield. If you want to see my thoughts on that situation, then you can check my most recent video out. I'm gonna go fucking insane. But overall, they were incapable of taking their chances when it came to breaking into the top 4. They were consistently inconsistent. And jokes made by Ruben Amorim suggesting that his meetings with Ineos and Sir Jim Ratcliffe were about contract extensions didn't exactly fly too well with United supporters. They then welcomed Bournemouth to Old Trafford, where they draw in potentially their game of the season so far, an absolute whirlwind of batshit mental catastrophes that led to a 8-goal thriller and a 4-4 draw. Eli Jr. Krupi managed to survive being abducted by aliens, but there was far too much space in United's defence. A 2-1 loss to Aston Villa was expected before some brief respite against Newcastle, but draws against a Wolves side that had 2 points going into the game, followed by another unconvincing draw against Leeds, had everybody sure that he was not the man. I mean, he wasn't getting the best out of his players. Matheus Cunha looked like a shell of his former self at Wolves. United fans knew they were tuning in for some of the worst football that the English Association has ever seen before. I mean, there's one thing to be haram ball, but haram ball usually comes with actually winning. These lot were just playing like shit for the pure love of the game. And eventually, even Ruben Amorim himself broke.
No, guys, I just want to say that I came here to be the manager of Manchester United, not to be the coach. And every department, the scouting department, the sport director needs to do their job. I will do mine for 18 months and then we move on.
And on the 4th of January, Ruben Amorim was arrested. I say arrested because honestly, look, to do this with a football establishment such as Manchester United is a heinous crime. I fucking hate United, and a lot of people do. And I was enjoying seeing what he was doing there. But with recent revelations, he probably should be on that list as well. Not even for anything to do with what some of the other people have been caught doing, but I'm just saying, this was illegal of the highest order. And what was so bizarre during Ruben Amorim's time was I think think some of the stuff that he said about the club, not really understanding the ethos of the club and giving youngsters a chance. His refusal to play Kobbie Mainoo was just insane. Throwing the poor kid to the wolves by just saying he was basically shit in training. In 2 years, we're gonna find out about a secret affair that he had with Manuel Ugarte from the Daily Star. Because there's no other reason why he'd be consistently playing a man with the same technical ability as a shop assistant from Asda in the centre, in the heart of his midfield. Especially over a kid who played in the final of Euro 2024 at the age of about 13. What is the brain capacity or lack of brain power that you're even using there? So in would come Darren Fletcher, then we would see Michael Carrick take on the reins, and immediately there was a turnaround. These lot were popping the ball around Manchester City like it was nobody's business, like they were a group of year sevens in the playground. This is Manchester City. Pep Guardiola is the originator of tiki-taka, and he was being out-tikied and out-tackered by a man who was managing at Middlesbrough last year. He was watching Rodri get the Ballon d'Or whooped out of him. I mean, United won this game 2-0. It could have easily been more. They had more than enough chances to make this even more embarrassing than it already was for City. Don't get it twisted, a City side that's been poor at times this season. I don't believe they're going to win the league. I think Arsenal will. They are far too inconsistent and have too many defensive issues, but United absolutely battered them from all around. It was convincing. Gianluigi Donnarumma kept them in the game. A late offside that made no sense whatsoever and clearly looked on. Again, made it less embarrassing than it should have been. This game could have been like 6-0 to United. So an amazing start straight off the bat. But next up is an even harder challenge. Arsenal away at the Emirates. Yeah, at this point, things would start to get a little bit suspicious. Now, in the change in Ruben Amorim leaving and Michael Carrick joining, Michael Carrick had decided to make a change that I think every single sane football fan with even like 4 brain cells to put together would want to make if they were suddenly appointed as Manchester United manager. He switched from a 5 at the back to a 4 at the back. Not only did that just help them defensively, but it also created a lot more balance in midfield, but it did kind of mean that some players would have to get shifted around. And one of those players was Patrick Dorgu, who in fairness had been kind of trialled further forward by Ruben Amorim as well, but not with the same success. Michael Carrick put Patrick Dorgu at left wing, and it changed everything. This was getting towards Juju potential now, okay? We were seeing Patrick Dorgu lashing in a half volley against Arsenal in off the crossbar at the Emirates. Patrick Ballon Dorgu, broski. This isn't even making any sense. Although he would continue the Gareth Bale left back to elite left winger trajectory a little bit too convincingly by then incinerating his hamstring. Either way, Manchester United were good. Arsenal had taken the lead through a Lisandro Martinez own goal, and then by conducting some level of assault charges on United's goalkeeper Lomans. But bangers and beautiful goals kept United in this to the point where they would then go and win it late on with a Matheus Cunha curler. Some great work from Benjamin Sesko in the build-up. Cunha saw himself surfing above Chelsea and Liverpool in the table, and United had scored 3 goals against a side that hadn't conceded a shot on target since '98. Roll on Fulham now, and in fairness to Manchester United, one trait they did and have had over the last few years is that they would perform well against the big teams. They turn up for big occasions from time to time. It was the teams they should be beating they would have trouble with. So when they came across Fulham at Old Trafford and took a 2-0 lead, it looked like they dispelled those worries. I mean, we had Casemiro doing no-look passes. Bro, Casemiro could hardly do a look pass last season. The football had firmly returned to him. Himself, Kobbie Mainoo, Bruno Fernandes, balanced and confident in Manchester United's midfield. But United, of course, managed to make a hash of proceedings because they are chaos ball this season. They threw away that 2-goal lead with a Jimenez penalty and a Kevin goal. But, in fairness, Fulham, managed to annoy kind of everybody all season by just somehow performing above their means without really signing, massive players and with a squad that just shouldn't be able to do what it does. I mean, a geriatric Raul Jimenez is still somehow helping them to respectable mid-table finishes. Bob and Kevin have taken time out of their busy schedule attempting to steal the moon to be part of their front 3. Meanwhile, Harrison Reed was doing absolutely nothing because, of course, his only contribution this season was to score an absolute screamer against Liverpool. I digress though, yeah, because this game even then featured some late Manchester United traditional chaos ball, and then see Benjamin Sesko go at the other end of the pitch a minute later and rifle the ball into the top corner on the turn, applying a dollop of Fergie time straight onto Marco Silva's forehead. And to be fair to Sesko, he's looked pretty decent. He got a bit of, grief at the start of the season, but when he's been used, he's scored some important goals and he's got some nice link-up play. Then would come Tottenham, and I don't really know what you were expecting. Of course, this was a 4th win in a row. Christian Romero had gone into this game with a sense of frustration, ranting on Instagram about ENIC and the board and their lack of investment in the January transfer window. He said they didn't have have enough players available. So he managed to combat that by getting himself sent off and directly lowering the amount of players that Tottenham have available. This challenge on Casemiro was crazy. The ankles left him. This brother's always 7mm away from disaster, honestly. It was a simple victory from that point onwards. Again, Manchester United looked good value for their win. Benjamin Sesko, I give him that praise, did miss a sitter at the end of the game. Bruno Fernandes was probably catching him and ready to beat him up for wasting an opportunity to get near that Thierry Henry assist record. And United now have got a positive double-digit goal difference. These lot ain't eaten this good for about 4 seasons now. How greedy. And look, it would be easy to say, lads, it's Tottenham. But Michael Carrick has done a good enough job with astute tactics and tweaks, tactical changes and personnel choices to suggest that he can beat good teams in this division and different teams. Man City, Arsenal, Fulham and Tottenham. That's not an easy run, you know. And realistically, how has Michael Carrick done this? Because a lot of people have talked and spoken at length about the Manchester United way. And I believe that to an extent. He's come in and he does know the club. But I don't think it's just as simple as, yo, he's brought the good vibes back. I think he's just done something that I was saying, and I think a lot of United fans as well were saying, is he's just kind of gone back to basics a little bit. Don't get it twisted. Tactically, they're a step above what they were under Ruben Amorim. I'm not going to go fully into detail into that because there are smarter and more intelligent people that you would want to hear that from. But I think at base level, A, he's recognized certain players who weren't getting game time who should be. I'm looking at Kobbie Mainoo here. I've never understood, and I'm so glad that my opinion, I hate Manchester United. I just like it when I say something and it's right. You know, I said for the longest time it made no sense that Kobbie Mainoo wasn't getting any game time. People were suggesting, oh, well, was he really that good? Like, no, he obviously was. There's a potential there for a generational talent, as much as I hate to say it. And to be squandered like that over an 18-month period is genuinely ludicrous. I mean, Ruben Amorim had his tactical ideology and he had his setup, and it worked at Sporting. But he didn't have the players when he first arrived. And I think one of the most crucial skills that a manager can have is to look at his side, evaluate it, and work out what works and what's good for each player that he has. You can have a system if you like, and you can try and adapt it a little bit, but if you've got no players that can do it, why are you doing it? I always thought Arne Slot last season, I know things have gone to shit, but I really appreciated how he was able to look at our back four and go, this works, this is fine. We don't need to do anything too insane with it because it's quite stable. It's fallen apart this year, but it was stable at the time. I'm going to deploy Ryan Gravenberch as a 6 and have him press resistant in front of them. And it completely revolutionized Ryan Gravenberch's role at the club. Jurgen Klopp couldn't even get that out of him. Arne Slot identified a player and worked out what a potential skill set could be within his system. Ruben Amorim never did that. He decided he wanted 2 holding defensive midfielders, like central midfielders that had to do defensive work. He wanted 3 at the back. He wanted wing backs. He wanted tucked in wingers. You've got a set of wing backs that don't really like doing that. Dorgu came in and was better, but Dalot, that's not his skill set. He's not good in the final third. The centre backs were okay, but they had a lot of injury issues, and like they were then having to play Aiden Heaven a little bit out of his depth at times, or play players that didn't really work in a 3 as well. Bruno Fernandes was having to do defensive work. Why? Play him as a 10. He has mastered that position. Why would you not play him there? He's not going to track back. That's not his job. That's not what he should be doing. So why would you do it? You've got Kobbie Mainoo sat on the bench because you're insisting on playing a 2 in midfield, and the only 2 that you feel like you can play in a 2 is Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro. Casemiro's not got the legs to be able to cover a 2 midfield when he's playing against a 3, and Bruno Fernandes shouldn't be doing defensive work. So play a 3 and introduce Kobbie Mainoo. Amad Diallo is one of your most exciting wingers, and you can't even get him into the team properly because you don't play with wingers. It was very simple stuff. Michael Carrick has come in, evaluated the squad that he has and gone, this makes way more sense. Why the fuck would I play a 2 in midfield when I can play a really balanced 3 who all complement each other well? It means that I can play Bruno Fernandes in the creative 10 like he actually wants to be played in, and have Kobbie Mainoo and Casemiro behind. That's class when they're actually playing well together. Dalot doesn't have to be a wing back. He can just chill and be a right back. Don't get it twisted. He's not great at that either, but he's better. The likes of Mbermo and Cunha now have places in the team that are a little bit more like natural to them. It's actually not rocket science. There are astute tactical decisions that he's making, absolutely, that are part of his system. But at base core level, he looked at the side, looked at the players and went, you're good at that, I'll let you do that. You're good at that, I'll let you do that. And you're good at that, I'll let you do that. For Manchester United fans now, their team is actually entertaining to watch. Manchester United have gone from being one of the worst teams in the league to watch as a neutral to being one of the most enjoyable. I am genuinely jealous that I'm having to watch Cody Gakpo week in, week out. But honestly, I would say, yeah, Manchester United genuinely, there's definite improvement. And I would honestly say, of the balance of what I've seen so far, unless it is just a new manager bounce, but it doesn't feel like it should be that. I don't know, I feel like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was was vibes. That was just bringing the good times back. He was a good manager, but it was more man management. He could get the most out of the players by just being boys with them. Whereas Carrick actually is a good tactical manager as well. So if he can combine those two things together, I genuinely don't see a reason why United can't finish in the Champions League spots. They have got a good squad. They actually had a good summer transfer window. I remember saying at the time it was good. Lamens is a good goalkeeper and underrated. Cunha and Mbermo are good players that performed well in the Prem last season. Seshko was, yeah, a little bit of a risk, to be honest with you, and I think there's potential to be better, but we still haven't seen anywhere near the best of him yet. But they have good options. They've got a midfield three now that's actually balanced as well and really performing very, very well. If they can get a couple of their injured centre-backs back in, Maguire's looked good though. Lisandro's been all right too. I'm concerned because I want to see Liverpool getting into the Champions League. I don't want to play in Turkmenistan next season. They wouldn't even be in the competition. But either way, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. Manchester United fans, are you back? Are you hesitant? Where do you think you're going to finish in the league this season? If you have enjoyed this one though, feel free to slap a like on it. 6,000 likes, please. That's the goal always. And make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel. You can also follow me on social media. It is at the official FNG on Twitter and on Insta. It's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy yourselves. And goodbye. Fuck, I don't want Manchester United to be good, man. This is some bullshit.